Hi there, for those of you out there who are missing the most recent updates of the Nick Dutch Tarot show on the Nick Dutch Tarot YouTube channel, there's a link down there. It'll be uploaded tomorrow. I've just got to finish off converting it, editing it, rendering it, and uploading it. It has been shot today, so don't worry about that. It is on its way. But I want to talk to you today a bit more about my experiences with witchcraft groups, and there was one in particular in which people did things slightly wrong. So all I'm doing is I'm telling you my experiences. I'm not using this to try and bash any particular religion, so I don't really see the point. It's not all that constructive, okay? And maybe if there are people of certain religious groups, maybe they'll be able to learn from this and learn basically a bit more about how to think and how to present ideas. Because the way you present ideas actually has an impact upon the way that people think about those things in the future. So, here we go. I mean, obviously, I speak a lot about the occult. I mean, that's what Nick Dutch is known for, anything from Ouija board seances and all the rest of that. But I've got the attitude that strange things seem to happen occasionally, okay? And we can't say all that much about them. And also, it's worthwhile mistrusting other people's claims to what seems to have happened. There was once a chap who was obviously trying to terrify me into following his particular, way of doing things. And he spoke about a time in which he went into a certain house, a certain allegedly haunted house, an empty house, abandoned. There were, of course, a few stories about that one particular house indeed. And apparently he felt a strange presence. He smelt a mouldy smell. And out of curiosity, he drew a pentagram in the air with his finger, visualizing it being drawn in light. And he heard a scream, and something appeared in the hallway in front of him, looking just like a court jester. And bells and everything, apparently. But the face, drained of blood and looking green, with the eyes staring with hatred towards him. This individual who was recounting this story then tells the story of running behind the kitchen door and slamming it closed. But then he was aware that the jester raced up to the door and tried to push it open, and at that moment, after the door had been nudged quite a distance, the jester vanished. I think that story was a complete and utter load of balderdash. The reason I think that story is such a load of balderdash was because this jester character was described as something that was physical, and something that could ram itself against a door, and the fact that it was portrayed in just the same kind of manner as a character from a badly casted horror film. This was essentially the Wiccan high priest in that particular coven, just trying to drum up fear so that he could get certain specific results. He told another story as well, and he even chose another member of the coven to back him up on this, of a time when they were out in the woods and they cast a circle, and it was on a very rainy day, and the rain stopped basically, but only within the boundaries of the circle, and then started again with the closing of the circle. And so he was convinced that it was his magical power and the elementals that he had summoned which had stopped the rain. And that was the power of the circle. I tried to put that one to the test, myself, personally, after having spent a fair quantity of time, practicing the art of circle casting. And it was a time of year similar to this one. But the weather was rather different to the way we have it this year. It was raining like crazy. I had to take the dog for a walk, and it was really teeming down. I went into the woods and I thought, well, let's see whether this guy's hypothesis is correct. And there was I, with my dog tied up to a tree, his little lead tied up to a tree, so he was nice and safe. He was actually sheltered by all the leaves, and there was me standing out in the open, being rained on, anorak and all, okay, not quite looking warlock-like, you might say, looking more like a bit of a nerd, really, standing in the rain and talking pox. I had a few things in my pocket that might possibly have been useful for this, such as a candle I'd got from a camping shop, which is supposed to be waterproof, and I had a few sticks and a stone. So I used the sticks to symbolize air, because in some methodologies, the wood is regarded as being connected to air. I used the candle to represent fire. There was enough water, I didn't need to worry about that, did I? And I did the process of casting the circle as energetically as I possibly could, using as much concentration and reverence and religious states as I could possibly muster up. The result of this was that I got drenched. My dog looked at me as if I was a lunatic, and I walked home, wet, not having controlled the powers of the universe at all. This is one of the many reasons why it's worthwhile being skeptical of the claims that other people make, if you get my drift. Kind of.